Have you ever felt a strange heaviness in your head in the morning, or a sudden wave of fatigue that didn't quite make sense? A patient of mine once told me she thought her tiredness and pressure behind her eyes were just part of getting older. She brushed it off for months, believing it was nothing more than a senior moment. But I want you to imagine this. Imagine your body giving you small whispers long before it ever raises its voice, subtle signals that something inside needs your attention. Many adults over 60 don't realize that everyday habits they consider harmless may be quietly raising their stroke risk. We often picture stroke as something sudden and unpredictable, but in reality, the body gives warnings. These warnings come through hidden triggers like mild dehydration, stress that lingers longer than usual, nights of poor sleep, or meals heavy with salt and sugar. These small, repeated stresses add up, especially as our blood vessels age and become more sensitive. Morning blood pressure spikes, for example, are one of the most common hidden triggers. So is drinking too little water throughout the day, something many seniors don't even notice. Sitting for long hours without movement, sudden weather changes, skipping breakfast, or carrying emotional stress for weeks can quietly shift the body into a dangerous state. These triggers may seem minor, but they thicken the blood, tighten the arteries, stimulate platelets, and set the stage for clots to form far more easily. From years of caring for older adults, I've learned that stroke rarely comes without a story. The body tries to warn us gently at first. It's just that many people don't know how to interpret those early whispers. That's why this conversation matters so much. In this video, I'm going to guide you through the hidden triggers that raise stroke risk fast, explain why they matter, and share simple ways to reduce your risk starting today. Before we continue, please take a moment to subscribe, like, and share Senior Health Daily so we can keep bringing you life-changing information. In the next part, we'll go deeper into these triggers and help you understand what your body has been trying to tell you all along. Why hidden triggers become so dangerous. After 60. As we step into our 60s, 70s, and beyond, the body begins to change in quiet but meaningful ways. Our blood vessels, which once expanded and contracted with ease, become stiffer. The arteries narrow just enough to make blood flow more sensitive to pressure changes. The circulatory system becomes slower in responding to sudden shifts, and the brain, which depends on a steady stream of oxygen and nutrients, becomes more vulnerable to interruptions, even brief ones. This is why hidden triggers that might not affect a younger adult can become powerful catalysts for stroke in older adults. I've seen it many times over the years. A patient who felt perfectly fine one day suddenly found themselves in the emergency room the next. Yet as we retraced their steps, it often became clear that the stroke didn't come out of nowhere. It came from a series of small stressors the body had been trying to warn them about. I once cared for a man named Robert. He was active, cheerful, and proud of his independence. One morning, he experienced a moment of lightheadedness and blurry vision while getting out of bed. He shook it off, thinking he had simply stood up too fast. Later that week, he felt more tired than usual. He blamed it on the weather. A few days later, he had a stroke. When we reviewed everything together afterward, it wasn't the big moment that surprised him. It was the collection of tiny, overlooked signals. It was a series of hidden triggers quietly raising his stroke risk until the body finally couldn't compensate anymore. These subtle triggers are exactly what I want to help you understand today, because recognizing them early is one of the most powerful tools you have to protect your health. Hidden trigger number 1. Morning blood pressure spikes. Most people don't realize this, but the morning hours are the riskiest time for stroke. Between 6 and 9 in the morning, the body releases more cortisol, a hormone that naturally raises blood pressure to prepare you for the day. This is normal, but for older adults with stiffer arteries, narrower vessels, or underlying conditions like hypertension or diabetes, this surge can create a dangerous spike. And here's where hidden triggers intensify the risk. If you went to bed dehydrated, didn't sleep well, or woke up feeling stressed, that morning spike becomes even higher. The blood thickens, the vessels tighten, and the brain suddenly faces pressure changes it may not be able to handle. I remember a woman named Elaine who always woke up quickly and rushed into her morning routine. She told me she rarely drank water after dinner because she didn't want to wake up at night. But she also felt her heart pounding every morning. Those morning episodes were not random. They were her body warning her that the combination of dehydration and the cortisol spike was putting her at risk. Her stroke later happened at 7:45 a.m. Hidden triggers often stack on top of each other, and mornings are when they collide. Hidden trigger number 2, dehydration. Dehydration is one of the most overlooked stroke triggers in older adults. As we age, the sensation of thirst becomes weaker. Many seniors drink far less water than their bodies need without realizing it. Even mild dehydration can make the blood thicker and more sluggish, increasing the likelihood that a clot will form or travel to the brain. I once treated a patient who only drank 1 or 2 small glasses of water a day. He believed that was enough for his age. But over time, that chronic dehydration made his blood viscous, his blood pressure unstable, and his risk of stroke significantly higher. When a clot did form, it didn't take much to block a narrowed artery in his brain. Hydration isn't just about quenching thirst. It's about keeping your blood flowing smoothly, preventing sluggishness in the vessels, and helping your brain get the oxygen it needs at all times. Hidden trigger number 3, sitting too long. Many older adults spend long hours sitting without realizing its impact. When we stay still for too long, especially in soft chairs or recliners, blood flow slows in the legs. This allows clots to form more easily. If one of these clots breaks free, it can travel to the brain and cause a stroke. One woman I cared for loved watching her afternoon shows. She often spent 3 or 4 hours sitting without moving. She didn't feel pain, discomfort, or swelling, so she assumed nothing was wrong. But the blood wasn't circulating well, and a clot formed silently. When it traveled to her brain, it caused a mild stroke that affected her speech. Movement is medicine. And even small movements throughout the day help keep your blood flowing, your heart active, and your brain protected. Hidden trigger number 4, high sodium or high sugar meals. What we eat has a direct and immediate impact on stroke risk. Meals high in sodium cause blood vessels to constrict and blood pressure to rise. Salty dinners, soups from a can, processed meats, or even certain restaurant meals can push blood pressure dangerously high within hours. Sugar does something equally concerning. High sugar foods increase inflammation and cause insulin spikes, both of which make blood vessels more sensitive and less flexible. This creates the perfect environment for a clot to form. There is a reason many strokes happen in the hours after a large, salty, or sugary meal. The blood pressure rises, inflammation increases, and the circulatory system struggles to stabilize. When I explain this to patients, they're often surprised. They never realized that the food they ate for dinner could affect their brain before bedtime. Hidden trigger number 5, weather changes and heat spikes. Sudden weather changes, especially heat waves, are powerful stroke triggers. When the temperature rises quickly, the body loses water faster, often without you noticing. Dehydration sets in, blood pressure becomes unstable, and clot risk rises. Cold weather is just as dangerous, especially at night. Cold causes blood vessels to constrict. If your blood pressure increases while your vessels are already tight, the risk of stroke increases dramatically. Older adults have a harder time adjusting to temperature changes, which is why sudden shifts in weather pose such a significant risk. Hidden trigger number 6, poor sleep and irregular sleep patterns. Sleep is one of the brain's most powerful tools for healing and stability. When sleep is poor, interrupted, or irregular, blood vessels don't relax the way they should. Cortisol remains elevated, inflammation rises, and blood pressure spikes the next morning. I've seen many seniors underestimate the importance of good sleep. They tell themselves that waking up often is just part of aging, but what they don't realize is that their brain needs uninterrupted sleep to repair blood vessels, regulate hormones, and stabilize the circulatory system. When sleep suffers, stroke risk quietly rises. Hidden trigger number 7, emotional stress or silent anxiety. Emotional stress is one of the most invisible but powerful stroke triggers. Cortisol increases, the heart pumps harder, and the blood vessels tighten. Over time, this constant pressure weakens the circulatory system. What makes this trigger so dangerous is that many seniors don't talk about their stress. They hold their worries inside so they won't burden anyone. But silent stress builds up quietly, affecting the body long before any outward signs appear. One of my patients told me she hadn't cried in years, even though she felt overwhelmed inside. Her blood pressure remained high despite medication. Only when she finally opened up did we realize that emotional stress was playing a major role. Before we continue, if this video is helping you understand your health, please subscribe, like, and share Senior Health Daily. It gives us the motivation to create more life-saving content for you. Hidden trigger number 8, skipping breakfast. Breakfast sets the tone for your entire circulatory system each day. When seniors skip breakfast, blood sugar becomes unstable and morning blood pressure rises even higher. This is especially dangerous for those with diabetes or hypertension. Skipping breakfast also leads to overeating later in the day, which places more strain on blood vessels and increases inflammation. A simple meal in the morning, even a light one, can help stabilize your body and reduce stroke risk. Hidden trigger number 9, overworking the body. Gardening, mowing the lawn, cleaning the house, or lifting heavy objects can raise blood pressure quickly, especially when done in hot or humid conditions. Older adults often underestimate how hard they're pushing themselves. They want to stay independent and active, but sudden exertion can place intense strain on the heart and blood vessels. I've treated several seniors who experienced a stroke while doing yard work on warm afternoons. They didn't feel pain, they just felt a little dizzy. Moments later, their symptoms escalated. Learning how to pace yourself can be life-saving. Hidden trigger number 10, using decongestants or pain medications improperly. Some over-the-counter medications, especially decongestants, cold medicines, or certain pain relievers, can raise blood pressure or increase heart rate. Many seniors take these medications without realizing their effect on the circulatory system. One man I treated used a sinus medication daily during allergy season. His blood pressure kept rising, but he didn't connect it to the pills. When he later experienced a small stroke, we discovered that medication had been playing a major role. Always check with your doctor before starting new medications. Even small pills can have powerful effects. Warning signs to watch. For before a stroke happens, the body often tries to signal that something is wrong. These signs might appear only briefly, so it's important not to dismiss them. Headaches that feel different from your usual ones, blurry vision or sudden dizziness, temporary numbness in the face, arm, or leg, difficulty speaking or finding your words, unusual fatigue that makes simple tasks feel harder. These are signs that your brain may not be receiving steady blood flow. Even if they last only minutes, they deserve immediate attention. Real stories that highlight the warning signs. One of my patients, a woman named Helen, felt her right hand go numb while drinking her morning coffee. It lasted only a few seconds, so she ignored it. 2 days later, the same sensation traveled to her cheek. Again, she waited. When she finally had a stroke a week later, she told me she wished she had understood that those brief moments were warnings. Another patient, James, kept losing his balance for a moment when turning corners in his house. He assumed it was just age. When a mild stroke affected his vision, he finally realized those earlier moments were small clues the body was sending. These stories matter because they show how powerful awareness can be. Practical steps to reduce stroke risk. Reducing stroke risk doesn't require dramatic changes. It requires small, consistent habits that support the body every day. Drinking enough water to keep blood flowing smoothly. Monitoring blood pressure regularly. Standing up and stretching every 45 minutes. Eating meals low in salt and sugar. Sleeping deeply and consistently. managing stress through gentle breathing or conversation, and seeing your doctor for regular checkups. Each of these habits strengthens your body, keeps your arteries flexible, and reduces the chances of a clot forming unexpectedly. As we come to the end of this conversation, I want to bring us back to the truth at the heart of everything we've discussed. A stroke rarely appears out of nowhere. The body almost always tries to warn us first. Those hidden triggers we talked about are not random or meaningless. They are gentle signals, quiet invitations to pay closer attention. Your body whispers long before it ever cries out. What makes the human body so remarkable is its ability to communicate in ways we often overlook. A morning headache that feels different, a wave of fatigue that doesn't match your day, a moment of dizziness when you stand up. These subtle shifts are not inconveniences. They are the body's way of protecting you, asking you to slow down, hydrate, breathe, rest, or reevaluate. When we learn to listen to those whispers, we gain the power to prevent something far more serious. Throughout my years of caring for older adults, I've watched people save their own lives simply because they paid attention to one small change. They noticed a numb fingertip, a brief stumble, a strange pressure behind the eyes. Instead of ignoring it, they chose to speak up. And that simple choice led to early detection, timely treatment, and brighter outcomes. Awareness doesn't just inform us, it empowers us. You deserve a future defined by clarity, strength, and independence. You deserve to feel confident in the way you care for your body. And you deserve to wake up each day knowing you are doing what you can to protect your mind and your life. The beautiful truth is that it is never too late to start. One mindful habit, one glass of water, one moment of rest, one decision to check your blood pressure. These small actions can make an extraordinary difference. If today's message has helped you, I invite you to stay connected with this community. Join us, learn with us, and share senior health daily with someone you care about. Together, we can build a circle of knowledge and support that keeps every senior stronger, safer, and more hopeful.